Good morning, student. So today I'm going to discuss about the data visualization. Now, data visualization is one of the very important thing or important part of our Python. So visualization, the word visualization, what does this word visualization says? The visualization word says that the thing that we can show to the other person. Okay, so there are the different types of visualization works are there, different pattern of visualization work are there. So those the different types of visualization works what we have, that everywhere in every part we can see that we are visualizing the data. Okay, we are visualizing the data. So those the data what we are visualizing, that means we are showing the pictorial representation of the particular data. Now from here you can see this particular thing. Okay, this is the picture which I am circling at this moment. In this picture you can see it that there are so many things are being shown. One laptop is shown, there are some different other pictures are being shown. So all these different things, what different person, if you ask it, they will going to say about it in a different ways. Okay, they will going to say it in a different ways. Like if you ask to a person, first one can say that yes, it is a laptop. uh, from a laptop the things are coming out. That means who is a very lay person. Those who know about it, they can say it, yes, this is a laptop, and from this laptop that we can do all this pattern of what browsing, browsing is there, then different connectivity process is there, then shopping is there. Another person can say that it is a device. With the help of this device we can connect through the internet, we can do the shopping, we can have a talk with a two person, we can have a multiple connectivity system, we can have a browser engines, isn't it? We can have a remote area access. So this is what our things is. That means what I need to express to you is that the picture is a worth a thousand words. That means in a thousand word what you will going to write, suppose you are writing many things in many words, but instead of that if you draw a picture, that picture will be easily reachable to the person, and they can easily understand that what you want to say, isn't it? So this is what we are nowadays also very familiar with this particular thing. We are familiar with the pictures, we are familiar with how the picture will going to work. In a social website what we are using the emojis. Okay, emojis is what our expression, our different type of expression, or we can find in the different other social media the different famous person, they are also giving the different pattern of picture when they are saying. So all those different pattern of pictures what they are saying, what they want to say, they are expressing their feeling with the help of the picture. That means pictures helps to do a lot of work, isn't it? Lot means it is a huge lot of work. Like suppose you go to the railway station, you go to the shopping malls, you go to the multiplex. Okay, wherever you go, wherever you find that, you can see that picture is things that will going to say or lot of work. That there you can see that there are different type of writings are there, isn't it? So all those different form of writing like English, Bengali, Hindi, in our this particular region, that means in our particular West Bengal, if you go to Assam, the Assamese language will be there. So if you go to Kannada, the Kannada language will be there. So different type of languages are there. So those are different pattern of language, form of language. We cannot understand everything. But what you see by the side of it, one picture is given. So by seeing the picture, we can understand that yes, it is a station master room. It is the room of our, where we have to collect our tickets. This is the place where you have to do the boarding. It is the place where you have to do the checking, isn't it? So those the things what we can understand by seeing the picture. That we should not carry all these things. We should carry those things. This is the place where we can get the food, where we can get the food packets, etc., and so on. That means this is the thing which is expressing us that what we are do and what we want to do at that particular area, isn't it? So we know it, we get the idea by seeing the picture. So this is what This is the part that we say that is the most familiar or most accepted way that we can express the thing with the help of a picture, isn't it? So data visualization, that means we can visualize the data, play with the essential roles of the different representations of both the small and the large scale of data. Now, how we do this thing? The very common answer that we will going to get is use a graph. Obviously, in your class 7, 8, 9, 10, you have done the representation of data. And in data representation, what you have used? You have used the graph sheet. So in a graph sheet, you have designed the different pattern of graph. Either it is a pie, bar, line, isn't it? Histo. So any pattern of graph you have designed here, and with the help of this designing, what you show that how the data has been given and how they are being arranged. Number one. Number two is that is a peer-to-peer relation that you have created, and you have make a clear pictorial representation. Based on this pictorial representation, you are showing that how the data are there and what the data is. Clear? So what we can see in a different type of news channels. There are the different channels where you can see the stock market is there. So stock market, when they used to show the stock market, they used to show the different pattern of graph. By seeing the graph, the people who are very much interested, or those the people who are not even if interested, by seeing the graph they can understand, okay, this particular stock of share is going high, this time it was low, this was the high phase, this is the low phase, etc., etc., isn't it? So this is how we can understand. Very common thing that we can say that our three subjects like biology, isn't it? Chemistry, then physics, then history, geography. So all these subjects where we have a different pattern of pictorial representation. That means thing can be represented in a very good way, in a very accepted way with the help of a picture. So as we use the picture, it can be easily understandable by us. We see it that for the kids and the small kids, the picture, all the books are full of pictures are there, so that they can remember, yes, that the picture I have seen, and based on the picture, that something has been said. So similarly, when we grew up, when we are increasing our volume of studies, in this volume of studies also we see it, we find it that there are many subjects where we are expressing with the help of a picture, so that the thing can be understandable, we can understand the thing, and we can keep it in our mind for a long duration of time. Now, this particular data and database system, what we say is that we are doing our data visualization in a different pattern of disciplinary ways. So we are exposing the data, we are making the data. So those the data what is not understandable by us, where we find that there are the different type of hurdles are there. So if you represent it with a different pattern of visual context, it will become easier. So visual context means visual graphics is required because we are doing in a machine. So in our machine, what we can understand that there is a different types of complex relationship that will going to grow up, or that will going to build up. So those the complex relationship what is going to build up, based on this complex relationship, what we find it that we are arranging them in a formation of picture. Okay, now the question arises. You can ask me, sir, we are doing a Python programming. Programming means what? Where we are writing the huge amount of codes. So where we are writing the codes, then how can we draw? Because it doesn't have a graphic user interface. It is what? It is only the character user interface CUI. So when it is a character user interface, it is not a graphic user interface, then how can we do it? So there is also the solution arises. Solutions are there. So what is there? That there are some programs has been developed. Based on that program, when we run a Python and when we call them, they will help us to do it. Like very common of this is a matplot, cbon, folium, all these things are there. Okay, so folium c1 that we are not used at this moment, very rare we are using in this moment, but matplot, this particular function we are using in our program of class 11 and as well as in class 12. So matplotlib means what? This is a library function. Okay, so in this library function what we can find that there are the different types and different patterns of what? Patterns of the data that are being given. So we are including this matplotlib. We are calling the matplotlib when we are doing a program, and when we are calling the matplotlib at that particular moment of time, what we find it that in this matplotlib, not only that particular program, there are many sub programs are added with it. Okay, many sub programs are added with it. As we have a different pattern of sub programs are there, so those the subprograms what are there, they will going to help us to do the program. That means as we call it, we have to call the different subprograms, and calling those different pattern of subprograms, what we find it that we can execute our program in a very smooth way because we have a support on it. Clear? So everything required a support. So here also we required a support. So when you have a support, when you have a library function, that means this is the library function. With this library function, what we can do? We can do the different type of diagrammatical representation, different types of diagrammatical representation. So what we actually using? We are using the matplotlib. Okay, actually we are using the matplotlib, and using that matplotlib we can design it. What we can do? We can do the line graph, we can do the bar graph, we can do the histogram. And when we are doing all these things, when we are making all these things, what we find it that with this particular thing, there are some other sections are also there in your syllabus that will going to add with it. Okay, so those are the things, those are the part that we are fine, that we going to emphasize on. We are emphasizing on this particular area where we are including these types of graph. Okay, so those are the different patterns of graph, those are the different types of graphs that we are using. That means we are making it what? In a form or in a format where we are wanted to represent the data in a form of what? A graphical representation, right? Those who have said it, it's very right. That means with the help of a graphical representation, we are going to represent the data. Now here you see one program I have written for you. From matplotlib import pyplot as plt. Okay, so what you are doing, you are actually calling this matplotlib. So matplotlib is what? It is a library function. Okay, so this is a library function. This particular library function, under this we have a pie plot. Clear? So what we are calling, actually we are calling here two things. One, we are calling a math plot, and under the math plot we are also importing the pie plot. So two things we are calling, and based on these two things what we are doing, we are doing the designing the programs. Now, when we are designing the programs, when we need to design a program, what we find that when we do particular thing, you see here, there is an x-axis and y-axis. This is the y-axis, this is the x-axis we do have. So each of the axis value is required. Those the values, without a value, we cannot do it. We can have x1, x2, x3, more the plotting if you need to do. So what is our basic requirement? Our basic requirement is the values. Okay, so we require the values, like what the value it has been given. First value of the x-axis is 5, 2 and 7. Second value of the y is given to 16 and 4. Okay, so there we find it that plot plt dot plot xy, plt dot title info, plt dot y level y axis, plt dot x level x axis, plt dot show. Now, those the things what we find, those the part what we find. So each of this particular part, each of this particular section that we are working with, it has a certain type of what? Declaration on it. Like plt.plot, what does this do? Plt.plot, that means I am calling here plotting function. Under the plotting function, I am passing x and y. So x and y, when I have written x and y, that means the value that are stored in x will going to come here. That means we will going to pass here, and the value that is stored in y will going to pass here. That means it will bring or call those values of x and y in this particular area. Okay, for what the purpose is? For purpose of plotting the thing. Next, what we have, the title. Title means we can find here this, suppose this is your graph. In this graph we do have a title on it. Okay, then we say x, y axis and x axis, the name we are giving to it. So y axis and x axis, the name it has been given to. After the name it has been given, what we find it, that it has been said plt dot show. That means we want to show the things, isn't it? The thing needed to be shown. Now how it will going to show? Now see this one. In this particular area, what we see, what we will going to find, that there is two axes. As I have said, see here, the name has been given. Name of the graph has been given. Info. So as we have given the range from 2 to 16, so it has taken by its own from 2 from here and 16 is here. And another is 2 to 7. From 2 is here and 7 is here. So say this is for which range? This is for the x-axis range and this is for the y-axis range. So based on these two range, you see it, the number are segregated by the machine itself, but you don't have to think about it, how you will segregate, how you will send, etc., etc. Okay, and there you find it that in this case also the machine has segregated the number. Now, based on the criteria that has been given, from here, what we find, they has plotted the graph. Okay. So, this bar graph, what we say, this is the line graph that we are using. This line graph represent that how the structure of our work is. That means how we can do this particular work and how we can find the thing is. Now you see here the first part. Let us go a little bit back. Then you can understand the thing again. See the program once more again. In this program you see it that 5, 2 and 7. That means where to give 2. 2 is this point. And this is also have a common point. That means we are seeing here the x-axis and y-axis, both of them has got this common point, the 2. After that, 2, 16 and 4, and 2 with 5, then 2 with 16 and 2 with 7. 7 with 4. So this is how we can find it, that the graph can be accumulated. We can design the graph and we can draw the graph. Okay, so this is how we can see, this is how we can find it, that in this particular scenario we can design it. That means we have said the title, as I have said, see title plt means plot. Plt means what? This plt, as we are calling it, is as you have a nickname in your home, isn't it? You have a one name that has been officially, another one you have a nickname known by everyone. So we can give another one, but that will not be accepted very easily. There can be some trouble, so we will give such pattern of name, but those are understandable by the Python. Okay, those are understandable by the Python. PLT is a given format there already. If you open the Python library, you find it PLT is already given format. So if you give the name it PLT, the particular thing will going to work very smoothly, isn't it? So this is what we can find, this is what we can see, that when we are calling these structures, when we are making the structures, we find it that this particular structures that we are calling, these particular structures on which we are managing it, isn't it? We are forming and we are making for the purpose of what? For the purpose of working with this Python programming section. Okay, so working with the Python programming sections, we are sending those particular data, we are making those particular data structures. Clear? So in this data structure, what we find is that we are using those data and we are making the structure format. We are making an X level, we are making an Y level. That means X axis, and we are making the Y axis. So x-axis and y-axis value that we are giving. Based on that, you see it, what we say 4 and 7. This is the range of 4. And if you can draw, the line will not be straight as I said. So if you can draw the straight line, say it meets at 7, isn't it? So this is the form how we draw the graph. As you has the idea of drawing the graphs and making the graph, you can see this, you can find it, that this particular pattern of drawing the graph and making the graph, how we can manage it, how we can do it. So now who is doing here at this moment? At this moment the thing is been drawn and designed by the Python itself. How? Because we have given some instruction, we are calling the PLT, that means pyplot. Pyplot is under what? Matplotlib. So we are calling the matplotlib. After calling the matplotlib, then we call the pyplot, and what the name has been given? PLT. Now PLT dot level, PLT dot show, PLT dot x level, PLT dot y level. So all these things when we have designed and given, based on that what it will going to do, they all are the functions. We are calling the functions here because it is not possible for us to write a program. We are calling a function here. As we are calling the function here, based on that function, what are the programs that will going to execute, and that will going to replace those values what is there. Okay, so this is how, this is the form how we can find it, that we can understand the word, we can do the word, and we can find out how the plotting is done. So this is our what? Visual representation or the graphical representation of the word, isn't it? So we have used what? We have used the data structure, data frame. This is a small section of the data frame that has been worked. That is, you have seen x in a one group, y in a one group, and that is a list also, we can say, using the list format, list pattern of format we have done it. So any pattern of format that you can identify it, and based on this particular pattern of format, what we have done it, we have structured it, we have made it, isn't it? So this is how the thing has been done, and this is the thing has been constructed. Okay, so thank you students, I am ending up the class today here. Thank you all.